Sometimes I wonder why I settled too soon. My ex out there living big, you know? My entitled GF compared me to her ex nonstop, so I left her. Now she's broke, used, and begging me for a job at my firm. Hey Reddit, buckle up because I've got one of those stories where life handed me the perfect mix of betrayal, karma, and sweet payback. It starts with me being the safe choice in a relationship and ends with me realizing just how wrong she was about that. Let's just say, some people chase the wrong kind of success, and the way it all flipped around still makes me grin. I, Isaac, 32 male. Work as software developer by day, business builder by night. I'm not one of those guys who brags about grinding 24/7, but I'll be honest, I like working. Code makes sense to me, unlike people, especially women like Bianca. I met her 2 years ago at some tech networking thing. You know the kind, awkward icebreakers? Guys in blazers who think their unfinished app idea is the next billion-dollar startup, and the one poor dude pitching a cryptocurrency no one asked for. I was there to meet a potential client, not my next girlfriend. But then Bianca bounced into my line of sight. She was a marketer, full of buzzwords and fake confidence. She had that I read half a self-help book and now I'm unstoppable vibe. Bright smile, energy for days, talking about how she was going to climb the corporate ladder, become a VP by 30. She had it all mapped out, except she had no plan, just manifesting. She laughed at my jokes, though. That's always a red flag. Means she didn't get them. But I still gave her my number. At first, she seemed fun. She liked that I had my own thing going on, that I wasn't the type to sit around complaining about gatekeepers. I had a solid job, a side hustle pulling in extra cash, and I was disciplined. To me, that's just being an adult. To her, apparently that was sexy stability. Funny thing about stability, people love it until they start confusing it with boring. Bianca had an ex, Toby. Yeah, let's talk about him. She couldn't shut up about the guy. They dated in college, and apparently he was the one who got away. According to her, he was the kind of guy who'd book a last-minute trip to Paris just because croissants sounded good. Me? I'm the kind of guy who books a flight when it's on sale, because saving money also sounds good. Every time she brought him up, she framed him like some Silicon Valley legend. Ambitious, risk-taker, big ideas. Meanwhile, I'm over here actually writing the code that powers businesses. But nah, Toby once pitched an app to an investor in a bar, so he's the hero. I brushed it off at first. I figured maybe she was just processing old baggage. But the comparisons started piling up. Like this one night. We're sitting on the couch. Netflix paused. I'm telling her about a new freelance contract I landed. Solid money. Good client. Something that could turn into bigger things. She barely looks up from her phone and says, "You know, Toby started his own startup right after college. He didn't wait around for little contracts." I just stared at her. Cool. Maybe Toby should have started a personality while he was at it. She gave me the side eye like I was being negative. I shrugged. Look, I'll take stable money over chasing unicorns that die in 6 months. That's the difference between me and Toby. He dreams, I execute. Still, I put in effort. I wasn't some bitter boyfriend. When she got laid off, I covered rent without hesitation. I even cooked dinners while she was job hunting. And yeah, I sat through her meltdown speeches about toxic bosses. She had more toxic bosses than I had pairs of socks, but I let her vent. Meanwhile, I kept moving, coding, hitting the gym, setting up meetings. But to Bianca, my discipline wasn't exciting. She wanted fireworks. She wanted chaos dressed as ambition. Flashback to this cabin trip I booked after she landed a small promotion. I thought it'd be a nice weekend. Woods, fireplace, good food. She's sipping coffee, staring out at the trees, and suddenly says, "Toby once surprised me with Paris." Just out of nowhere. I put my mug down. That's great. Did he also surprise you with rent money when you couldn't pay it? Because I've been running that package deal for a while now. She laughed. Not in the "you're funny" way. More in the "you don't get it" way. And then she dropped it. Sometimes I wonder if I settled too soon. Toby's out there living big, you know? I looked at her across the table thinking, settled too soon? Lady, you're 30 and still job hopping like it's freshman year. If anyone's settling, it's dumbass me. But I didn't say it. Yet. Here's the thing. Guys like me, we see the red flags. We just don't always care at first. We think discipline will outweigh delusion. Spoiler, it doesn't. By the time our second anniversary was rolling around, the Toby comparisons were like her new favorite hobby. With friends over dinner, she'd casually drop, "Isaac is great, but Toby just bought a Tesla." Did you see his post? Yeah, I saw it. Tesla financed for 72 months, but sure, Bianca, clap for him. The friends would shift uncomfortably. I'd just sip my drink, smirk, and let her embarrass herself. I already knew where it was heading. I wasn't panicking, though. I wasn't begging. I wasn't giving up opportunities to make her happy. If she wanted to chase a fantasy with Toby, fine. But the second she crossed the line, I was ready to step aside and let her drown herself in her own choices. Because here's the truth. I never saw myself as the backup plan. She did. And that's where she screwed up. This was just the beginning. The next couple of weeks were basically a masterclass in Bianca, hinting she was outgrowing me. She never said it outright. Oh no, she had to do that smug, passive-aggressive thing, where every conversation turned into a comparison game. Like one night, I came home late after polishing off a client's prototype, walked in with takeout, ready to eat and crash. She's scrolling Instagram, eyes glued to her phone. Doesn't even look up. You know, she says, Toby's company just got featured in some article. Big recognition. He's really going places. I set the food down and smirked. Cool. Maybe next time he can buy you dinner through the article. She frowned. I'm just saying. Ambition matters, Isaac. Yeah, I said, popping open my container. So does eating. You want the dumplings or not? She didn't like that answer, but I wasn't here to validate her Toby obsession. Another time, we were out with friends. Normal Friday night. Drinks, small talk. Out of nowhere, she drops, Toby's Tesla is self-driving now. Can you imagine how cool that must be? Just driving itself while he focuses on big ideas. Everyone got quiet. I leaned back in my chair, took a sip, and grinned. Yeah, well, my car doesn't drive itself, but at least it's fully paid off. Kinda cool too if you like owning things. One of my buddies spit out his beer laughing. Bianca glared. I could see it in her face. She thought she had leverage over me. Like dangling Toby's ghost in front of me was supposed to make me jealous. Newsflash. It didn't. It just made her look like an idiot, still hung up on her college ex. But the real kicker came the night everything boiled over. I just closed a sweet deal for my side hustle. The kind of contract that could actually turn into a full-blown startup move. I walked in pumped, ideas buzzing in my head. I set the laptop down, started telling her about it, how this could be the launch pad for something bigger. She didn't clap. She didn't smile. She just leaned back, arms folded like she was about to deliver a TED Talk no one asked for. Isaac, she said, dragging my name like it was a chore. I've been thinking a lot about us. And honestly, I made a mistake. I tilted my head. A mistake like what? Buying oat milk instead of almond again? Or are we going big tonight? Her jaw tightened. I mean, choosing you over Toby. He's accomplished so much more. Built a company, made a name for himself. You're comfortable, safe. But Toby's drive inspires me. He challenges me. There it was. The speech. The grand, I'm about to leave you for Toby. Reveal. I let her talk, arms crossed, calm as ever. She smirked like she was winning, like she was lowering the hammer and I'd crumble. That's when I cut her off. Cool, I said, voice steady. Then why aren't you with him? Her eyes flickered. What? You heard me. I leaned forward, smirk tugging at my lips. You've been worshiping this guy like he's Elon Musk with better hair. If that's who you want, why the hell are you still here eating my food, using my Wi-Fi? She blinked. The smug look cracked for the first time. Isaac, I'm saying I need more than just... I raised a hand. Nah, save the monologue. We're done. You want Toby? Go run to him. I'm not about to be your safe backup while you drool over another dude. That's not who I am. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked pissed, like I'd stolen her big dramatic breakup moment. She wanted to be the one walking out, head high, playing victim. Instead, I'd pulled the rug out with one line. We're over, I added flatly, grabbing my laptop off the table. She scrambled, suddenly less smug. Wait, you're just ending it? Like that? Like that, I said, slipping the charger into my bag. No begging, no tears. You don't want me, I don't want you. Easy math. Her voice sharpened. Wow, proves my point. No passion, no fight. I laughed, shaking my head. Bianca, passion isn't yelling and groveling. Passion is building something real, which I'm doing. You just can't see it because you're too busy living in Toby's fantasy land. She glared, arms crossed again. You'll regret this. Toby's going to do big things. Great, I said, heading for the door. Then he won't need you draining his bank account. Perfect match. Her face twisted at that, but I was already slipping on my jacket. No drama, no looking back, just out. Because here's the truth. Guys like me don't wait around to be dumped. We don't need the ego bruise. We read the writing on the wall, and instead of crying about it, we walk out first. And in that moment, I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't even mad. I was amused. Bianca really thought I'd sit there, waiting for her to declare Toby the winner. Instead, I handed her the trophy and told her to get lost. That's the difference between me and every other guy she dated. She thought she was playing chess. I flipped the board and left the room. This wasn't heartbreak. This was freedom that I should have got earlier. And man, once you realize that, the weight lifts fast. The second I shut the door behind me, I felt 10 pounds lighter. I didn't leave my dignity behind on her couch. I carried it with me in my laptop bag. I crashed at my buddy's place that night. He didn't even pry, just tossed me a beer and said, "She's gone, huh?" "Yeah," I replied, smirking. Voluntarily upgraded myself. No crying on the floor, no blasting breakup playlists. I slept like a rock. The next morning, I got up early, hit the gym, and felt sharper than I had in months. Funny how removing one entitled person from your life suddenly frees up hours of energy you didn't know you had. Bianca, meanwhile, went straight to her victory lap. Within 2 days, her Instagram had flipped from random motivational quotes to a highlight reel of her and Toby. Old college photos reposted with captions like, "Sometimes love deserves a second chance. Power couple, talk richer true love." I laughed so hard I almost spilled my protein shake. Power couple? Toby was a couple drinks away from bankruptcy last I checked. But hey, hashtags don't lie, right? My friends texted me screenshots. "Dude, she really upgraded to Silicon Valley Superman," one joked. I just replied, "Cool, free babysitting for her self-esteem." Good luck to them. Meanwhile, I got back to work. That big contract I'd closed, I used it as a launchpad. Registered an LLC, set up a proper business account, and started laying the groundwork to turn my side hustle into something scalable. Late nights coding? Sure. But this time it wasn't to make Bianca feel secure or to prove myself to anyone. It was for me. And let me tell you, working for your own vision hits different. Gym mornings, code nights, actual weekends again. I even started hiking, something I'd put off because Bianca always whined about bugs or not having the right outfit. Turns out walking up a mountain is way more peaceful when no one's complaining about cell service. Within 2 months, I had 2 more clients lined up. Nothing flashy yet, but steady growth. I even hired a part-time assistant to help with admin junk. Me, an employer. Felt damn good. Of course, Bianca's social media saga kept rolling like a bad rom-com. One week she's posting old photos with Toby. The next week it's grainy selfies of them at coffee shops, all captioned, "Building dreams together." Yeah, sure, dreams. The kind that come with debt collectors. Her delusion was almost impressive. She'd post things like, "When you know, you know." Took us a while, but fate brought us back. Fate, huh? More like desperation and poor judgment. I didn't comment, didn't subtweet, didn't engage. That's what she wanted. Me fuming in the background, throwing digital punches. Instead, I just worked. Every time she posted, I gained another contract. Karma's funny like that. The best part? People noticed the shift in me. Not just work, but life. Friends saw me more. Family said I looked healthier. Hell, even strangers at the gym started nodding like I leveled up. Confidence is magnetic when it's real. And women notice too. I wasn't out hunting, but the second you're visibly building something, suddenly conversations come easier. It's like success sprays some invisible cologne. One night at a networking event, I met Carly, fellow developer. Sharp, witty, didn't talk about manifesting success. She just built it. We swapped stories about late-night debugging marathons and clients who couldn't tell a server from a toaster. She laughed at the right parts. The actual jokes, not the empty space. Was I looking to date? Not really. But the contrast between her and Bianca was so obvious it was hilarious. Carly asked about my projects, not about Toby's Tesla. That alone felt refreshing. Mutual friends started whispering that she and Toby were practically glued together. She kept the lease after I moved out, and Toby slid right in like a replacement roommate. That made me laugh even harder. Imagine going back to a place where your ex's energy is all over the walls just so you can pretend you're rebuilding. Pathetic. But hey, let them play house. I was too busy stacking wins. My sister once asked me, "Do you feel like you lost something?" I chuckled. "Yeah, about 120 pounds of entitlement." She grinned. "Sounds like you're better off." "No kidding," I said. "I can actually hear myself think now." The truth is, Bianca thought she had the upper hand. She thought leaving me for Toby would make me crumble, jealous, desperate to win her back. But she underestimated the one thing she never understood. I don't chase. I don't compete with ghosts. She wanted drama. I gave her silence. She wanted to be the star of my downfall. Instead, she became the background noise to my upgrade. And every time I closed another deal, Every time I hiked another peak, every time I caught my reflection and saw someone sharper, stronger, more focused, I knew I'd already won. Bianca could hashtag power couple all day. I was building actual power. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. This was just the grind. And the grind always pays off. Turns out it was paying off faster than Bianca's fantasy life could keep up. See, while I was coding deals into existence, she was busy playing sidekick to Toby's fake empire. And at first, she really leaned into it. Power couple updates turned into startup hustle updates. Every week, she was posting pictures of them in coffee shops with laptops open, pretending like they were changing the world. Hashtags everywhere. Except I knew Toby's idea of hustle was borrowing money from anyone dumb enough to believe him, Bianca included. A mutual friend let it slip over beers. Bianca had quit her job. Apparently, Toby convinced her to go all in on his new venture. She called it an investment in their future. I nearly spit my drink. Wait, Bianca quit her actual paycheck to bankroll Toby's pipe dream? My buddy nodded. Yep. She said Isaac was too safe, Toby's a risk taker. She sounded proud. Yeah, I laughed. Proud until rent shows up. But I didn't gloat. I just tucked it away. The beauty of watching someone dig their own hole is you don't have to hand them the shovel. And man, she was digging fast. Rumors started swirling in her little circle. Toby's new venture? Nothing more than recycled buzzwords. Some AI lifestyle optimization platform that sounded impressive on paper, but was basically just a glorified calendar app. He pitched it to a few investors, but anyone with half a brain saw through it. Bianca, though? She was his biggest cheerleader, posting things like, proud of my man chasing dreams. Scared money don't make money. Meanwhile, Toby was literally asking her to cover his credit card bills. Yeah, the Silicon Valley hotshot needed her to float him for groceries. The unraveling hit full speed at a tech networking event about 3 months later. I was there, invited to present a prototype I'd been building for a logistics client. Nothing glamorous, just practical. Real product, real users, real traction. Exactly the kind of thing investors actually like. I spotted Bianca across the room before I even hit the stage. She and Toby were there, of course, playing dress-up. She had that fake designer bag she used to brag about, and he looked like he'd borrowed his blazer from a thrift store mannequin. Bianca strutted around like she owned the place, introducing Toby to anyone who'd listen. This is Toby, founder of the next big thing in AI. They're going to disrupt everything. Disrupt everything? Yeah, mostly Bianca's bank account. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. Then came the moment of glory. Some guy, an investor I'd actually spoken to a few times, flat out called Toby out in front of a small group. We've seen your deck. It's vaporware. No working product, no patents, nothing but flashy slides. Where's the execution? Toby stammered. Tried to spin some nonsense about stealth mode development. The investor wasn't buying it. Stealth mode? That's just another way of saying you don't have anything. The group chuckled. Bianca's smile froze. You could practically see the panic creeping into her eyes. I stood 10 feet away, sipping my drink, and couldn't resist muttering to the guy next to me. Guess stealth mode also applies to his bank account. The guy laughed. Toby heard it. Bianca heard it too. She shot me a glare like I'd ruined her entire fantasy in one sentence. Nah, sweetheart, you ruined it by backing a fraud. My turn came to present. I kept it short. No fluff, just results. Prototype live. Users growing. Contract signed. By the time I wrapped, the same investor who shredded Toby was asking for a follow-up meeting. Applause, handshakes, real validation. Bianca? She sat in the back, stone-faced, pretending not to notice. Toby bailed halfway through my Q&A, probably to go beg someone else for money. It was beautiful. Not because I humiliated them directly, but because I didn't have to. Reality did it for me. After the event, people actually came up to me. Some of them knew Bianca and Toby, some didn't. Solid work, one guy said. Refreshing to see someone focus on execution instead of hype. Translation: thanks for not being Toby. By the end of the night, Toby and Bianca had slipped out. No goodbyes, no posts, and for the first time in months, her social media went quiet. But silence on Instagram just meant noise behind the scenes. Word got around fast. Toby had burned bridges, owed people money, and left Bianca to clean up his mess. She drained her savings, maxed her cards, and gave up her job for a guy who couldn't even pay his own rent. Meanwhile, I was signing another contract. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. She wanted risk and excitement. She got debt and embarrassment. I wanted stability and growth. I got results. And the best part? I didn't need to rub it in. The universe was doing that for me, one overdraft fee at a time. While Bianca was busy learning the hard way that hashtags don't pay bills, I was stacking wins. My prototype from the networking event? That turned into a paying contract before the month was out. The same investor who roasted Toby pulled me aside later and said, "We should talk about scaling this." Translation: real money on the table. So I leaned in. Meetings, pitches, late-night coding runs. Not because I had to prove anything to her, but because I finally had zero distractions. Funny how much you get done when you're not babysitting someone else's fragile ego. Clients piled on. I brought in another developer to handle grunt work, hired my assistant full-time, even upgraded my apartment. Nothing flashy, but a top-floor unit with an actual view instead of staring at a brick wall. Small things, but they mattered. Meanwhile, Bianca was going radio silent. For weeks after that event, her Instagram turned into ghost town. No more latte pics, no more CEO vibes captions, not even a recycled college throwback. For someone who lived for external validation, that silence was deafening. Of course, I still heard the whispers. Mutual friends couldn't resist sharing. Apparently, Toby bailed, again. Packed up and disappeared the second an old buddy offered him a couch and a business opportunity out west. He didn't even say goodbye. Left Bianca with the bills, the lease, and the embarrassment. Classic Toby. Honestly, I almost respected the consistency. Bianca, on the other hand, was floundering. Out of work, broke, and humiliated. She burned bridges at her old job when she quit to be an entrepreneur's partner, so crawling back wasn't exactly an option. Her friends? Half of them distanced themselves when they realized she wasn't part of a power couple. She was just a cautionary tale. While she spiraled, I was leveling up. The startup I'd formed? It wasn't just a side hustle anymore. It was real. I got my first official partnership deal signed. A logistics company that wanted to roll my software across multiple branches. That one contract doubled my revenue overnight. I celebrated the way men should celebrate. Steak dinner, whiskey neat, and a solid night's sleep. And it wasn't just work. Life outside the laptop started clicking too. I was at another conference when I ran into Carly again, the developer I'd met months earlier. We ended up grabbing coffee after one of the panels, and this time we talked less about debugging nightmares and more about what we actually wanted out of life. She wasn't the type to post about manifesting success. She was the type to build it brick by brick, same as me. Confidence without delusion. That alone made her 10 times more attractive than Bianca ever was. It wasn't long before coffee turned into dinners, dinners into weekends, and weekends into something real. I didn't broadcast it. I didn't need to. But the contrast wasn't lost on me. While Bianca was begging Toby to validate her, I was with someone who saw me as the prize without me having to audition. By the time 3 months rolled into 6, I had something Bianca never could wrap her head around. Momentum. Steady, undeniable momentum. Of course, karma has a sense of humor. I found out through a friend that Bianca had been spotted at a local bar, ranting about how Toby ruined her life. Apparently, she tried spinning it like she was supportive, and he took advantage of her. Which is hilarious, because 6 months ago, she was bragging about being his ride or die. Guess the ride broke down. But the real kicker came at another industry event. I'd been invited to do a short presentation, 10 minutes on scaling small team projects. Not the sexiest topic, but it got me in front of the right people. Guess who slithered into the back row halfway through? Yep, Bianca. She looked drained, hair messy, makeup barely hanging on. Gone was the corporate ladder climber energy. Instead, she sat there in silence, probably hoping no one noticed her. But I noticed. Hell, half the room did. I didn't acknowledge her, didn't flinch, just gave my talk, answered questions, and wrapped up with a smile. When people lined up afterward to hand me business cards, I caught her watching from the corner, biting her lip like she wanted to say something. She didn't, not then. But seeing her there, sitting through my presentation while Toby was God knows where, was poetic. She used to mock my tinkering. Now she was forced to sit in a room where that tinkering was being recognized, applauded, and, most importantly, paid for. Role reversal complete. Later that night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's me. Can we talk?" Didn't even have to guess who. I deleted it. No response. Because here's the thing. When you walk away first, you don't owe anyone closure. They can stew in the silence they created. By this point, Bianca wasn't the girl I loved. She was just a walking reminder of why discipline beats delusion every single time. She wanted excitement, spark, risk. She got it, and it burned her life down. Me? I wanted stability, growth, results. And now I had them all. This wasn't just role reversal. This was evolution. And Bianca? She was stuck in the past. That became clear the minute she tried to claw her way back into my life. It started small. A week later, another. Isaac, please. I miss you. Gone. Then came the voicemails. Long, rambling ones, where her voice cracked between fake regret and half-baked apologies. Isaac, I know I hurt you, but things with Toby, they weren't what I thought. He used me. I see it now. You were always the real deal. Please pick up. I didn't. She escalated. Emails next. Paragraphs of recycled romance drivel. Remember when we planned our future? I want that back. I realize now stability is what matters. Your stability. I took it for granted. Stability. The same thing she mocked me for. Now suddenly it was priceless. I archived every message. Not out of temptation, but because I wanted receipts. Evidence of her desperation. Then came the social circle campaign. Her best friend DM'd me. Dude, Bianca's in a rough place. Be a man and hear her out. Right, because being a man apparently means rescuing the same woman who torched me to chase a fraud. Hard pass. Her sister tried next. Called me like it was a family emergency. Isaac, she's crying nonstop. Toby destroyed her. You're punishing her for one mistake. Family sticks together. I actually laughed. Family? Last I checked, we didn't share a last name. Click. When that didn't work, Bianca went nuclear. She showed up in person. I'd just wrapped a workout, heading out of the gym. Sweat still on my shirt. She popped out from behind a parked car like a horror movie jump scare. Makeup smudged, hair frizzed, eyes bloodshot. Isaac! She rushed toward me, clutching her purse like it contained the last of her dignity. Please, just 5 minutes. I stopped, keys in hand, leaned against my car, and looked her dead in the eye. What do you want, Bianca? Her lip trembled. I was wrong. Toby was a lie. He used me for money, ditched me, left me with debt. But you've built something real. I see that now. Let's start over. I can help with your business. I can be the partner you deserve. Partner. The same woman who once told me I was tinkering now wanted in on the machine. I smirked. Help with my business? What exactly are you offering? Hashtag marketing? Or should I hire you to compare me to Toby at board meetings? She flinched. Stop. I know I was cruel. People change. Yeah, I said, unlocking my car. They usually change before they burn every bridge. She reached out, grabbed my arm. Isaac, please, don't be stubborn. Everyone says you should forgive me. Even my mom thinks. I pulled my arm free. Your mom also thought Toby was a visionary, right? How's that working out? Her face twisted, desperation morphing into anger. Fine, ignore me. You're just bitter because I chose better, or thought I did. But look at you, still single, still buried in work. Pathetic. I laughed. A real laugh. Pathetic? Bianca, I'd rather be single with success than shackled to your delusions. Now move. I got in my car and drove off, her silhouette shrinking in the rear view. The flood of texts that followed went from apologetic to furious in minutes. I love you, please. Then, you'll regret this. Then, wow, heartless. Guess I was right about you lacking passion. She was unraveling, and I wasn't even touching the threads. But I wasn't done. I wanted one clean strike to end this charade. So when she emailed me again, this time pitching herself like a job applicant, I gave her the opportunity. Let's talk, I wrote back. Formal meeting. My office. Tomorrow at noon. She showed up in a blazer 2 sizes too big, clutching a portfolio like she was interviewing at Google. Sat across from me. All fake confidence. I know I made mistakes, she began, but I can handle marketing for your company. Social strategy, branding, whatever you need. Let's rebuild together. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed, letting her sweat. Then I said it. We're looking for people who bring value, Bianca. Not baggage, not comparisons. Value. And right now, you don't qualify. Her face collapsed. You brought me here to humiliate me? I tilted my head. No, you brought yourself here when you decided I was second place. This is just feedback. She slammed the portfolio shut, stood up and hissed, You'll regret this when someone better comes along. I smirked. Already has. She stormed out, heels clacking like angry punctuation. My assistant poked her head in a second later, eyes wide. What? Was that? I grinned. Just declined a bad candidate. The truth was, I didn't need revenge at this point. I already had it. My life was climbing. My company was thriving. My circle was solid. Bianca, she was just a knock on the door I never had to answer again. But fate wasn't done with her. Not yet. Our mutual friend Jake's wedding turned into the perfect arena for Bianca's meltdown. The venue was straight out of a magazine. White tents, soft jazz, fairy lights strung through the trees. I showed up with Carly, sharp suit, sharper grin, and a woman on my arm who carried herself with effortless grace. Carly didn't need to oversell anything. She just walked into a room and made it better by existing. That alone made her the opposite of Bianca. We were laughing with old friends when I saw her. Bianca. She was parked at a table near the back, slouched like a forgotten prop, swirling her drink and pretending to scroll her phone. Her dress looked like it had been crumpled in a suitcase for a week. Her hair frizzed, and her eyes darted nervously as people whispered. The corporate queen who once thought she was too good for me now looked like she'd just stumbled in off the clearance rack. Of course, she couldn't leave it alone. The second she spotted me, she shot up like a missile and stormed over. "Isaac!" she snapped, voice cracking. "We need to talk. Now." Carly arched a brow, but I squeezed her hand. "Don't worry," I said coolly. "This'll be short." Bianca glared at Carly like she was competition in a race Bianca had already lost. "Who's this?" "Carly," I said. "My fiancé." "Not official yet, but close enough." Carly smirked, catching my sarcasm. Bianca's face twitched, but she pushed forward. "Toby ruined me. He drained me, lied, left me in debt. But I see it now. You were the one building something real. You were the safe choice. The smart choice. Please, Isaac, give me another chance. We can fix this." The desperation in her voice almost made me laugh. The same woman who mocked me for being comfortable was now begging for the very thing she ridiculed. Before I could respond, a ripple cut through the crowd. Heads turned toward the entrance and whispers followed. That's when the night went from satisfying to legendary. Toby walked in, and he wasn't alone. On his arm was a girl who looked straight out of a lifestyle magazine. Young, polished, glowing in a dress that screamed new money. Toby strutted in like he'd just sold his fake startup to Apple. Everyone saw it. Everyone compared. And everyone knew exactly what it meant. Bianca froze. Her drink nearly slipped from her hand. Toby grinned when he saw us. "Isaac," he said smoothly. "Looking good, man." Then he tugged the girl closer. "This is Mia." Mia smiled politely, oblivious to the tension, but smart enough to sense something was off. Bianca snapped like a twig. "Seriously, Toby? After everything? After what you did to me?" Toby chuckled. "Relax, Bianca. You were fun, but too much drama. Mia gets it. Fresh start." He kissed Mia's cheek like it was punctuation. The crowd gasped. Whispers exploded. Bianca stood there, humiliated in front of everyone she once wanted to impress. She spun back toward me, panic written all over her face. "See? This is what he does. He ruins people. But you're different. You're stable, successful. We had plans, Isaac. Don't let this be the end." I let her drown in her own words before leaning in, voice steady, but loud enough to carry. "Bianca, you once told me I was just tinkering, that Toby actually achieved something. Funny how that tinkering pays salaries now, while you're left broke and begging." Her lip trembled. "Don't do this. Not here." "Why not?" I smirked. "You wanted attention when you flaunted Toby online. Guess it's only fair you get attention now. Equal exposure." The whispers turned into laughter. Phones angled in our direction. Bianca's tears spilled. "So that's it? You're just walking away? Like I never mattered?" "Exactly," I said. "You're not my heartbreak. You're my lesson. And I don't repeat lessons." The words hit harder than any scream could. She staggered back like I'd slapped her. Toby chuckled from the corner, already leading Mia toward the bar. "Told you she was dead weight, Isaac. Should have warned you earlier." Then he walked off, leaving Bianca abandoned a second time in one night. Her shoulders collapsed. The whispers turned into full-blown gossip. No one offered her comfort. No one defended her. For someone who used to feed on public approval, the silence was brutal. That was the final blow. No screaming match, no revenge plot. Just reality serving her everything she thought she deserved. Revenge isn't loud. Revenge is calm. Revenge is building so high your enemies can't even see the floor you're standing on. Bianca got chaos. Toby got his next target. And me? I got freedom, success, and someone who actually saw my worth. Bianca became irrelevant. Toby became predictable. And me? I was untouchable. The story wasn't hers anymore. It was mine.